All right. Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this VPSA Chat Live. It's been a minute. I haven't seen you guys since last year. Anybody? Okay, just me.
Sorry, I
Thank
got
you.
you. I got you.
My name is JP Davis, and I serve as your National Vice President for Student Affairs for Kappa Kappa Psi for the 2025 to 2027 biennium. And if this is your first VPSA chat, these conversations are designed to be informal but intentional spaces where we talk about things that matter and will be helpful to our active members and our fraternity as a whole. This month, February, is where Kappa Kappa Psi celebrates its National Month of Leadership. And I'm super excited to be here tonight, joined by some speakers of our Founders Circle, as well as immediate past President Bong Ko, to talk about something that is very important to leadership development in our fraternity, and that is the Founders Circle. So tonight we're going to spend some time talking about why the Founders Circle exists and how it's evolved, what it looks like today for chapters and individuals, and also hear directly from some of the speakers who help deliver this program across the country. So before we just jump into it, or I would like to introduce the people that we have here. And I want to start with our immediate past president, Bong Ko, who currently leads the Founders Circle Leadership Development Program. You want to tell them who you are and what you do?
Got it. Okay, script says start with name. My name is Bong Tico. I use he, him pronouns, and I am a life member of the Alpha Zeta chapter at Indiana University National Champions. And with that, as JP mentioned, I serve as the immediate past president, but really in the context of this conversation, I serve as lead of the Founder Circle team and just the coordinator of our National Month of Leadership. And I've been a part of this program, a part of the Founder Circle speaker team since its inception in like 2017, 2018. So I was part of the first cohort, and I'm really excited for you all to meet my other colleagues here on this call and really get to know them and all the special things that they're going to be bringing to the program and to your chapter. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. I'm super happy to have you guys. And then I'm just going to go in the order that I see you on my screen. And if you guys could also introduce yourself, we'll start with Kadeem Sabari.
Hello. Before we talk about me, Bong, 2017-18 inception, you're elderly. But
You can
hello,
see the
everyone. My name
graves.
is Kadeem Sabari. I am a life member of the Zeta chapter at the University of South Carolina.
Go
Go
Cubs.
Cox. I have currently served as one of the Southwest District governors, but I've been a Founder Circle speaker since this past, May, June, whenever Bong announced this past year, whatever month that was. So yeah, we're fresh, we're new, and I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, congrats. Did you say what you do like in normal life?
Oh, like my real career?
Yeah.
So I am a regional manager of admissions for the Dallas-Fort Worth area for Texas State University.
That
Very
is
long title.
that is incredible. Oh, awesome. And then next up we have Darren.
Hey everybody, Darren Martin, he, him. I am a life member of the new chapter from the University of Michigan, Go Blue. Currently, I work at Northeastern University up in Boston, where I'm in our Center for Student Involvement, so helping support student organizations and how they interact with campus and planning different events with them. KKSI wise, I'm currently a member of the Friend and Advocate Committee, so currently helping to advise the Xi Nu chapter at Roanoke College that will be installed this Sunday, so very exciting. And then have been part of the Founder Circle program here for about a year now, started with Kadeem and Chris.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks so much. Thank you for being here. And Chris.
All right, hey friends. My name is Chris Kern, an alumni of the Beta Omicron chapter at Arizona State, and I'm also one of the Founders Circle team members. And throughout outside of that, I also support some of the LAA's alumni and some of the national committees, kind of a couple of places throughout. Outside of that, in the real world, I work as a CPA doing financial statement audits. So it's always nice to kind of come out and do something outside of accounting and get to do a little band for the evening.
That is awesome. Very cool. I don't think my brain could like see those numbers all day every day. At least not anymore. I used to be good at math. Um, So let's get into talking about Founder Circle, and I want to start Bong with you, if that's all right. There's not really a choice, so we're gonna start with you. And so for brothers who may have heard the name Founder Circle but don't really understand the background, do you mind talking for a little bit about why the Founder Circle was created in the first place and kind of what leadership needs it addressed in Kappa Kappa Psi?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you for having us. And the script says to tell some of my favorite fun stories about JP.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just
There's some
teasing.
really good ones, I'm sure.
All right. Hi, folks. Again, welcome. Thanks for joining us or watching later. Before I jump into everything, I did want to say, again, happy National Month of Leadership, happy 100th year of Black History Month, and happy almost Lunar New Year as we prepare to welcome the year of the Fire Horse. As our VPSA mentioned, again, my name is Bon Ko, and I'm proud to serve as the lead of this team. And to speak a bit about the Founder Circle, I think it's important to really understand that it didn't just happen overnight, right? It wasn't something that we had a meeting and we had a discussion and it just came about. It grew over time out of real needs, feedback from brothers across the country, and a long history of leadership development within Kappa Kappa Psi. And before I go into a bit of the history with it, I did want to just be very clear. The history, what am I going to say about the history of the leadership development? It's not that it was ever lacking or ineffective, but just that it evolved over time with the needs of our students, the needs of our national leadership team, and really to match and evolve with the evolution of the fraternity. And of course, as we all, I think, agree, leadership has always mattered to this fraternity, and generations of brothers, year after year, grew as leaders through these opportunities that existed over time. Right. So what's powerful to really see is how this approach of ours has continued to grow and to adapt alongside our numbers, alongside how college and university bands has evolved, and really what people want to see out of our organization. And really, at the end of the day, it's a story about evolution rather than correction. And so, for much of the history before the 1990s, leadership development existed, but it wasn't as formalized. And so, training often happened in smaller moments, and it was largely focused on preparing our district presidents after they were elected, usually at National Leadership Conference or sometime during the summer. And while that work was, it was meaningful, but it was also, it was that leadership development that was just lack of better words, reactive and didn't always reach members early in their fraternal journey. So that there was a major shift that happened in 1997 at the National Convention, which I believe was somewhere in Arizona, when the students voted to raise their dues with a portion of that increase to be set aside specifically for leadership development. So around that time, the incoming VPP, Dr. Kirk Rendazzo, he was asked to create a formal leadership program. His response was the Guide to Leadership Development, which gave members a written resource where they could explore sort of leadership development on their own. And so the council also invested in leadership workshops at district and national conventions. So as we kind of move forward to, I think it's 2004, there was the creation of the Leadership Symposium. Leadership Symposium, and also designed by Dr. Rendazzo. And it used lessons from our ritual to really explore different leadership traits, skills in I would say, much more immersive way. And so after that, those events were held across the country on the non-national convention years, so on the even years. And overall, I would say, from what I know, because again, all this was before I really was born into the fraternity, but from what I've heard is that the response was overall positive, and students value that experience, wanting leadership development opportunities. But the thing was, like, they wanted it to reach more members and more often, and not just once a year. So in 2011, I believe it was, the National Council wanted to kind of take a pause on the symposium and really reimagine leadership more fully. So there was a task force that spent, I think, 2+ years really going around collecting feedback from active members, from band directors, just to really see what skills were needed the most. And so again, we fast forward to 2017, the National Council committed to the creation of what we have now, a much more comprehensive leadership program that combined in-person experiences with online resources. And really at the end of the day, the goal was to be sustainable. It was to have easier access for our members and just overall alignment with our values. So once again, leaning on Dr. Randazzo, he created the Founder Circle development program as it is. And that was launched in 2019 at our centennial celebration in Stillwater. So that's really the history of it. But the thing that I'll mention to kind of wrap this up is, I mean, at its core, the Founder Circle exists because members asked for more. They wanted to be much more intentional. They wanted to have much more purpose and really just access to leadership development that was maybe less reactive, more so like based on when they needed it. And so there was much more honesty from the leadership of what leadership development looks like. And the evolution reflects our commitment as a fraternity to supporting leaders, not just when they step into roles and titles, but really throughout their entire fraternal journey. So that's a sort of high level overview from very, I guess, first formalized leadership development to what it is now.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is really neat to think about with like it started as here's this thing that we're kind of doing that's reactive and and we want to expand beyond district presidents and then having it being held on the even years, and also crazy to think that like, hey, we're gonna actually just pause this for a little bit, we're just gonna think about it and then figure out what's gonna be best for the future. And I think it's really paying off. It's also kind of hard to believe that I mean, we're coming up in almost 10 years of this new round of the Founder Circle. So, talking about what it, or thinking about what the Founder Circle looks like today, Bong, when a chapter interacts with the Founder Circle, what does that usually look like? Like, what sort of ways can they interact with it? You mentioned like in person and online, and then what sort of takeaways might they have?
Yeah, really good question. So I would say at its core, the ideal reality is that the Founder Circle, it's designed to meet chapters where they're at. The challenge, as we have learned, is one, do chapters know about it? And if they do they know how to access it? And then if they do know how to access it, do they know, is it being planned intentionally throughout the chapter's calendar or academic year? Is it, when do you leverage this? So I would say probably the most obvious for those who went to any of our previous district conventions, and really, it was really upfront during the 2025 National Convention. Chapters and brothers really engaged with our Founder Circle program and our speakers at those conventions because we have keynote speakers at each of those conventions. And of course, we also have a series of workshops as well. I think the other obvious answer, or the way that chapters and brothers engage with the Founder Circle, is through in the National Month of Leadership, through online workshops and just really any sort of digital interaction, such as like a VPSA chat or like an IG Live or like a reflection question. Now, as we kind of move forward, what we're trying to really build out is, and then there's several components, is like we're continuing to evolve our online library, if you will, of leadership resources. The feedback has been, this is great, but like, where do we start? So I think we're going to take those resources and turn it more into a roadmap, a bit more of a using, let's say curriculum building to scaffold from level 1 all the way to level 3, and then just build a bit more of a framework around the leadership resources. And then from there, really connecting our chapters with our speakers here. So throughout this month and really throughout the year, chapters have reached out to our Founder Circle program saying, hey, we're hosting a leadership event. Hey, we're hosting a state day. Hey, we're hosting something for our band. Could we have a speaker, join us in person or online? So I know on this call, we have several people who are doing just exactly that, with chapters in their home state or chapters virtually, across the country. And what we'd like to also do is really make sure that the band director world also knows more about it. So really looking at some of those spaces like Team EA, Midwest Clinic, CBDNA, to really put ourselves out there. It's like, hey, we are a resource to help develop your students to be the best that they can be and really align on their values and how to serve your band program in a much more effective and sustainable way. So I'll wrap up just to say that the Founder Circle right now has different avenues for chapters to engage. Our goal is to, as we're going throughout the month, is to really put it, basically there's something happening every day. And we want to really show our, not just our actors, but really alums as well, is that like, we have a wealth of resources, we have great speakers, but there's always room to improve. So we need your feedback, which is why we were able to diversify the different types of conversations, the different types of speakers, and really the avenues in which we're having these sort of conversations, from more face-to-face to even to some providing resources for reflective work. So we're really trying to expand. We're trying to strengthen it in ways that, again, provides access and just intentionality behind the work that we're doing, but with guidance and with clarity in how to go from point A to point B.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's um, oh man, I'm blanking. I was just thinking about it as you mentioned going to some of these like music educator conferences and sort of advocating for um, not just this program but like Kappa Kappa Psi overall with the Founders Circle. I'm curious kind of what that looks like. Like how could I, an active member of Kappa Kappa Psi and also a member of my band, utilize something like this for the band?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think we can all say that our band directors are overworked. And oftentimes, they're handling, really running sort of a business, if you will, the operations, the HR, and then in addition to teaching the music, the show designs, all the above, right? So a major part of what helps band directors get all that stuff done is having leaders within their band programs do the things that need to be done so that the band director has capacity. But also with that leadership, you are giving people a sense of space, a sense of belonging, and really just a sense of purpose, of why they're doing band and cultivating them to becoming just better citizens, right? And so a way that a chapter can really leverage this program, in addition to leveraging other resources, we have leadership development grants. We have what was it called, matching grants at the national level that you can apply for to then bring in a speaker. So let's say if you want to you say, hey, band director, we would like to help with this. KKSI can bring in a leadership development person to not only hold a workshop, but maybe like a whole leadership training for throughout the weekend, throughout band camp, whatever it is,
Wow.
to really get us all on the same page. Or it could, rather than being directly leadership development, it could be, hey, could you come and help us really define what our true values are? Help us come up with like a mission statement for our band, for our leadership team. And really, at the end of the day, it's about being intentional. It's about finding, sort of creating a roadmap for yourself and doing it in a way that you don't have to be the experts. You essentially just say, you raise your hand, say, hey, we need the help. We'll say, okay, here are the resources. And then you, again, the Founder Circle is there to be the expert. So that way you can also partake in the leadership development and not have to do that sort of on the spot, on the site service. And you can actually grow as a band member, not just serve as, a Kappa Kappa Psi member.
Yeah, wow, that is really awesome. Really, really good to know that those resources are offered, especially money. Money is very helpful, and because it can be expensive bringing people in, but it's awesome to know the fraternity does that. I don't know why I'm pretending like I don't know that the fraternity does this, but I can celebrate that it's cool that the fraternity does. Um, I remember the other thing. The other thing I was gonna say was mentioning like people interacting with like Founder Circle and kind of not knowing where to start. I'm just personally curious about now. We don't have to talk about this now, but just like what would like a curriculum like scaffolding thing looks like? Because sometimes it's like here's like a foundation of leadership stuff, but then there's just going to be a whole bunch of skills that you won't know that you'll need kind of until you'll need
Mhm.
them. And like I do my own leadership symposium with my students every year in the spring semester, and I design it around kind of what I'm seeing in the classroom and what I'd like for them to take into the next school year, um, which I need to finish finalizing that. So I'll be interested to see what that's like. But I do want to shift over to our Founder Circle speakers and hear from them. So I've got a couple questions for you guys, and you guys don't have to answer all these the same way. In fact, it's okay if you don't, because I would love for the people tuning in to hear a variety of perspectives. So for each of you guys, I'm curious, where did your leadership journey in Kappa Kappa Psi actually begin? What is a no, not that one. What led you to become a Founder Circle speaker? And then uh, third, what is a misconception about leadership that you had early on that you've got kind of figured out now? And I want to start with Chris.
Sounds good. Do you want me to kind of rattle off all those, or is it like one at a time kind of thing?
Um, why don't you just see where the flow state carries you?
Sweet. So for me, when I came to Arizona State, I really was someone who didn't view myself as a leader. I've always kind of been more on the introverted side and never was really that person who was the center of attention. I always kind of felt like my job as a person in the band or a person in the fraternity or whatever it was, wasn't to be kind of the main leader, but kind of a supporting cast. I felt like leaders had this it factor that I, as who I was as an introvert, happened not to have. And my Kappa Kappa Psi journey was very much intertwined with my leadership journey. Learning that my voice, my skills, and who I am wasn't just valued within the chapter, but celebrated. And that I could leverage my unique passions and skills and interests to make an impact in the band. Whether that's and so be going from a band member who barely kind of made the cut to be in their Kappa Kappa Psi chapter to becoming a leader of the committee and eventually chapter president for a few years. And not by
Mm.
changing who I was or saying, hey, I have to fit this mold of this perfect leader that's stereotypical leader, just by being who I am and finding a leadership style that's authentic to me. So that's something kind of as I get started in the Founders Circle program and continuing on is something I really want to do is help brothers find a leadership journey that's authentic to them as they're taking their next step in their leadership journey. So I kind of yapped on. I probably missed a couple of questions in there. So I guess I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's really nice to hear about that journey. So do you mind speaking a little bit more about like this, um, you know, motivation to be a Founder Circle speaker?
Yeah, so I guess it kind of builds off of when I was an active. So as an active brother, I was always passionate about helping brothers find their own leadership journey, knowing that I kind of went from that person who felt like I really wasn't a leader to someone who felt like, oh, I'm more comfortable than I was being a leader. I'm comfortable when needed to be that person up front doing whatever needs to be done. Just helping give younger brothers that first leadership opportunity in a very low stakes environment, and then helping people who are kind of a little further on in their leadership journey navigate the challenges of being a leader with a title. There's challenges in each one, and it's a journey no matter where you're at. So when I first found out about the Founders Circle program, I was an active brother, and I thought it was a really cool program. But I think, as Bong mentioned, that was kind of when they were on their hiatus, and it was still kind of being reevaluated. So when I saw that it was coming back last year, I really was quick to jump into that opportunity to get involved, just as a way to pay forward all the support I got during my time as an active from brothers who came before me, and hopefully help some brothers and membership candidates maybe on this call or in the future take the next step in their leadership journey and become the leader they want to be.
I love that. A very servant leadership mindset. Uh, Now, so when you were transitioning from, just kind of barely making the cut to being a brother to all of a sudden being chapter president, what's like a misconception about leadership that you might have had that once you made it further along in that journey, you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is I kind of found out in bits and pieces is that there is no one way to be a leader. And even for a leader, there's different ways that you can exercise your leadership skills. Whether it's for some people, that is being the charismatic person in the center of the room. And we need leaders like that. That's really great. And I don't want to say that's the wrong way to be a leader or that's not true leadership. That is very important. But for other people, it could be more servant leadership, kind of like we talked about, or being the person. Sometimes leadership is even less visible of hey, I'm going to a marching band rehearsal or a concert band rehearsal after this. I'm actually going to go in and look at my music beforehand, not just go in and hope I sight read.
Mm,
And being that person who's prepared and ready is leadership. And each situation has a different type of leadership that's important.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, I love to hear that. I got chills a little bit, and I think it's also uh, thinking about like the invisible stuff. There's so much that we do as leaders that's gonna be like thankless, and kind of learning to live with that can be tough. And like, what is gonna be my motivation for continuing on? Like, where do I really find success? Is very important. So, thanks so
And then when
much.
you're in that leadership position, highlighting people you see doing that invisible work so that they know their
Mhm.
leadership is valued and go forward. Sorry for
Yeah,
jumping in on that,
no,
but
no, I thank
good thing
you.
to throw out.
No, yes, that is 100%. Like catching people doing the right thing, man, that builds trust in a very big way. So lovely. I'm gonna pass it over to Darren now. So Darren, same stuff. Where did your leadership journey begin in Kappa Kappa Psi?
I think as I was thinking about it earlier today, I really started in 2012 when I was a membership candidate joining the organization. Um, I think I remember specifically our membership class. We were planning a fundraiser, and the fundraiser was a band dance, and I got to be the treasurer of the dance. So figuring out how that all worked, and really grew from there. Became like chapter president and served for 2 years on the NCD council. Served in very different capacities, both as an active and then as an alum and life member here. Was able to help restart the NCD Alumni Association and be part of that team, and then serve in other various capacities. But I think the when it comes to the founder circle, I really saw it as an opportunity to kind of blend my professional life and my fraternal life. Working in higher ed, student affairs, and helping support student organization operations. I'm working with students every day, seeing how they are grappling with their organization and what it takes to help lead that organization forward and navigate the world basically. I really enjoy that opportunity to sit down and like work with students in that capacity, and that alignment with the founder circle really made sense and felt like a perfect opportunity to kind of share those experiences that I have professionally with the fraternity at large. um, I think to talk about misconception wise, I think one of the biggest misconceptions that I have had, and this has been learning about leadership and like the whole journey from when I was a membership candidate in 2012 to even more recently here, of that you don't have to have the title to be the leader. And I think that's funny in that I described my start of what positions I held. I think that for multiple years, really, when I started to focus more on my professional life and building that career, I didn't really have a formal title within the fraternal context. And in reflecting on that, I can see how my role as like a friend or support system to those, whether they were serving in leadership positions or not. I think my closest fraternal friend group is with Bong, and was there part of his journey as he was going through all the various leadership positions he's had, working with Paula Kaiser and her role with the NCAA or NCAA, the NCDAA, and then Michelle Banis and her role as like NCD governor for a few years there. I think it took me a while to come to terms with the fact that me not having a purpose or a title didn't mean that I didn't have a purpose. Thinking that, and it was challenging for me to kind of grapple with that and really understand that. But now that I can see that support system and that support role is just as part of my leadership journey within this fraternity, as any time where I really held an official title in the organization.
Yeah, yeah. It the the stuff about not having a title, especially from all the titles that you had, can be really tough. Have you ever heard the story about the man in the styrofoam cup?
I don't know if I have.
So that's okay. I've been just kind of like yap on it for a second. So so there was this he was a like a C-suite level guy for this company, and he goes to this conference. And when he's traveling to this conference, they get him this like first class seat, and then they have this personal driver pick him up from the airport, and then they've got like a super nice hotel room. Everything's covered, blah blah blah. And he's at the conference, and then eventually like he retires from that role, and they invite him back the next year to speak, but this next year, since he's not this C-suite level guy, um, he travels in just regular economy class. He gets there, he has to find his own taxi to the hotel, which he had to book himself. And when he gets to the convention center, he asks for coffee. And last year, like somebody would have made him coffee, but this year they just kind of point over to a styrofoam cup where like the coffee little stand is. And he goes up to speak, and he's like, I used to think leadership was this and that and all these titles, but um, like the only thing I ever really deserved was a styrofoam cup. Like with the title comes all this other stuff, but that wasn't meant for me. That was meant for this position. And now that I'm done with that, all I get is a styrofoam cup. And it was very like humbling for him. It's um, interesting to think about.
Definitely. Definitely, yeah.
Um, so put you on the spot with another question. I ask this question to my students, and anybody feel free to chime in. Um, I ask my students whenever they're doing leadership interviews for our marching band, why the title matters. That's one of the last questions I ask them. And I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that, or like if it does, and then why.
Definitely. I think in different contexts, it matters in different ways. And at the same time, it doesn't matter at all. So I think the way thinking professionally, so I work with, as I said, student organizations, and that comes with also working with the advisors of student organizations. So a lot of faculty members who support these student organizations. It's not has nothing to do with their actual jobs or anything like that. And oftentimes, if I am trying to get in touch with them or want to work with them on specific reasons, having my position and my title in my email is like something that kind of proves like legitimacy to who I am in starting that conversation. But then what I found most like enjoyable in that is once we start talking and realize that we are both here working to say like support the same students, are the formalities of our emails back and forth start to go away, and it's no longer hi Dr. So and so. It's hey John, how you doing? And that I think the title can open doors, but it doesn't actually form the relationships. It doesn't form the purpose behind which you all are working towards. So I think that is yes, titles can matter, and it's more about what you do with that and how you interact with those when you have that title or not, and how that can help shape you in your own leadership journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you. Thanks for being put on the spot. Anybody else got any ideas? I'm opening the floor.
So I think there is a benefit to having the title, but it's not a requirement to being a leader. There are moments where it is important to have the title because often having the title will give you a little bit more influence in different ways. In a way that I'm thinking about it is looking to your marching band or to your concert band. There are some people who might be rank leaders or section leaders. And as a part of being a rank leader or section leader, there are often extra requirements of maybe, hey, you have to do this 10-minute meeting before rehearsal with the band director to kind of talk about what the plan for the day is. So at the end of the day, having the ability to kind of say, hey, my section is struggling with X, Y, or Z in that moment is kind of a perk that the quote unquote average leader wouldn't have. Now, that being said, if you're somebody who's only in it for the title and you don't have the respect of your section, you can go up into that 10-minute huddle and yap on and on about how, oh, my section's terrible, I need to do X, Y, and Z. But when you get back and are actually boots on the ground kind of thing, you're not going to have that respect to translate, to kind of have that influence you otherwise would have. So there is a perk to having the leadership title, but you can be just as much of a leader, if not more of a leader, even without one.
Yeah. Retweet. Thanks for that. Kadeem, it looked like you had something.
I think to Darren's point, like it does matter in certain contexts. And like when you ask that question, what I'm thinking about is in the sense of responsibility. I think the title does matter when it comes to a certain level of responsibility. So I'm thinking of like, say, if you're the president of an organization, going back to like Darren's, higher ed thingy, you have a certain responsibility to ensure that you are helping to lead a positive culture within that organization. You are there to also, in a sense, supervise, make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, representing the organization to a certain level. And there comes an acknowledgement that the buck does stop with you, and that sometimes, depending on your title, you can't pass the blame to someone else because that is the title that you signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for me, when I'm thinking about is that title is important, yes, it does matter because when something goes wrong, someone has a responsibility, and someone, even if it wasn't your fault, you may still have to own up for it because of the title that you hold, because a lot of people are searching for the power, but with that power comes the responsibility of ensuring that the organization is abiding by a certain standard, especially when you are an organization that, like KKSI, you're in an organization that has a chapter, but there's also a district and a national level, and in other situations that you can kind of apply that thing to. And so I think for me, that is why the title is important in certain situations, because you have a responsibility, especially as you climb higher in your own personal journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So like less of like a title matters because it gives me power, but title matters because it obligates me to do these things. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Um, Bong, you got anything to add, or it's okay if you don't?
I guess I one more. I just want to say like thank you to our speakers for thinking in such like deep ways because these are the complex conversations that like we should be encouraging our brothers and our chapters to really have because I think there's so much about leadership. There's so much about service and Kappa Kappa said that we learn right like after our like let's say first part of our fraternal journey we learn well we need to take the time to sort of unlearn and relearn and I think that's the powerful thing about all this is that it's everything's so cyclical. But the last thing I'll add, JP, just to make it quick, I think retweet everyone what everyone said. I will say I really do think titles matter, but they are not the measure of leadership.
Mm,
I think they say something about leadership, but they don't measure your quality of leadership.
yeah, it comes through actions. Right. Wonderful. Well, thank you. Um, so, Kadeem, I know we kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but I want to hear about your leadership journey. What led you to be a founder circle speaker, and any misconceptions you might have had early on.
Jumping the gun is always okay because I feel like the girls will spit in bars. So, we'll take it. Um, so since we're talking about titles, I think for me and KKSI, like Darren, going through the membership process, and I served as our class president. And so looking back, I'm like, oh, why was I like this as a membership candidate? But from there, I was then able to serve as like our chapter social chair and then senior year chapter historian. We served on exec together. And so all of those came with different lessons and different experiences and opportunities. Like when I was social chair, I really tried to start bringing people together through various events because I knew that was something that the chapter was missing and was lacking. And so event planning, I was like, I've never planned events before. Like, what are the logistics about making sure that people bring food to the potluck? And what about a backup plan or organizing a kickball day with different chapters? And so it started with those titles as a college student, and I didn't really think about how important all of those experiences were until later. And that's when I joined the Southeast District Alumni Association exec board because I got a greater understanding of once you serve on a district level, like your impact is greater. Every decision that you make has a much larger impact on people you've never met before. And I realized I kind of had to evolve my way of thinking and evolve as a leader and learn so many different things. And then I started serving on the national level with the AABOD. And so there's so many, sometimes you end up in positions you may not realize or you may have never had on your bingo card. And so I was like, I don't have all the answers. And I think that's a misconception I had early on about leadership is that you don't have to have all of the answers before you apply for leadership roles or step into those roles. Because everyone knows it. Let's call it what it is. Because once you step into those certain rooms, you realize everybody's kind of flying by the seat of their pants to a certain extent, and that people in these roles don't always have all the answers. And that's not to say, just start applying for any and everything, but it is to say, don't deny yourself opportunities because you think you don't have it all figured out. Because most people will tell you that they had a plan going into it, and there were so many things that did not go according to plan because there were so many things that happened outside of their control. And so I think that's just a misconception I had, is that I had to have all the answers before I could start serving on a larger level. So again, don't block yourself from an opportunity. Obviously, come up with the plan, because you've got to have some kind of vision before you start trying to convince people to either elect you or trust you with these things. But you don't have to have necessarily everything figured out, because we're not Raven Simone. We can't see into the future, but at least have some type of plan before you apply, but don't doubt yourself to where you never take that opportunity. And so to end, but kind of what led me to becoming a founder circle speaker, Bon can attest to this. I bothered him about this for at least 2 solid years about, hey, when is the next iteration coming out? Because I really enjoy working with students. I work in education from a teacher, now working on the higher ed side. I've always enjoyed working with students and seeing their kind of personal character growth from freshman to senior year to now, when I first interact with them as a prospective student, to get them across the finish line and enrolling at Texas State now. I just have really always enjoyed that journey, but I always knew that I needed more experience. I needed to learn from people who have done this before. And going to so many conventions, working with so many great leaders that we have in this organization, I didn't want to be like, I want to be like them, but I did want that opportunity to learn from them so that way I can better serve our organization. And so that was the biggest reason why I wanted to be a founder circle speaker, was because I've seen some of these people do presentations and keynotes with hundreds of people in the room, and it was just so well done. It was so thoughtful, intentional, and it had such a lasting impact. And so it was an opportunity to learn from some of the best. And then on a personal note, it's a professional development opportunity, learning the skills to put together a good presentation, getting that practice, delivering more leadership-based presentations, things that were interesting to me, but things I don't get to do in my regular 9-to-5 job. And so being able to take some of those transferable skills was also a hope of mine joining the Founder Circle program. And so that leads me to where we are.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think the thing that I realized from each of you guys, and I'm actually kind of jealous about, is just how well spoken you guys are, and how smoothly everything comes out. I'm like, wow, I wish I could talk like that, but I've been influenced by. I can tell you, one of my friends from high school, his name was Joseph, and whenever Joseph would give presentations in class, he was always so nonchalant and chill and funny about it, and I was like, I want to be like that, which is why I'm where I am today. And so you guys are an inspiration for me in that way. But
Thank you, Char. I be stumbling, but we're getting better because Bong judged us a lot during the training sessions for this, so we're working on it.
sounds like Bong. Uh, just a quick question for you. As Founders Circle speakers, you get a chance to talk and think about what it is you guys are sharing, especially this month with your presentations. And my one question for you is, what do you think the fraternity needs most from its leaders right now? And I'd love to start with Kadeem.
So if I had to boil it down to, I think, 2 words, I think right now what this organization needs the most from its leaders is integrity and accountability.
Mm.
Because as we do these presentations with active students, and as we as national leaders or district leaders, we start working with students and we start moving up, quote unquote, the leadership totem pole, it's very easy for us to lose ourselves into the why as to why we're doing this. And so I feel like sometimes we have to remain humble and have some humility about us, and remember that we are here to serve the organization and not ourselves. And so, like I said, it can be tempting to kind of push those personal agendas. But I think as leaders on every level, chapter leadership, national committees, governors, district level, it's important to show that genuine humility and remember that decisions that we make do have a broader impact for people other than ourselves. And that way we as an organization can keep moving forward. Because we are here, we've been here over 100 years now, we have so many more years to go. And so we want to make sure that we are leaving the organization better than we found it through the choices that we make as leaders. And then with accountability is that we're not always perfect people. I know sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, we have a plan, and sometimes that plan may not always be the best plan. And so I think by utilizing each other in these positions to get feedback and to talk about what could be the potential impact, hearing those different perspectives, I think sometimes we also need to hold ourselves accountable whenever we do have those shortcomings. Because I've said this before, I think sometimes as an organization, we don't do the best job of holding each other accountable whenever decisions are being made that are not within the best interest of the group. And I think it's because a lot of us are so close as friends, we don't want to blur that line. And so I think sometimes we just need to remember that accountability is not a weapon, but is a necessary tool to keep us at our best. And so if I had to boil it down to probably those two things, I think as an organization, what it needs from us the most as leaders is that integrity and accountability.
Yeah, and that like, hey, we're friends, but we got business too, and separating that can be really tough in holding each other accountable.
As you know, we always say keep it in the chapter room, and sometimes that is a very difficult thing to do, and acknowledging when you mess that up is super important. And the earlier we can start learning that lesson, it can really help us, especially now that not to call us the new wave and the new age, but a lot of younger students are starting to be more inspired to get into leadership earlier on. It is very hard to kind of mix that, especially as you're balancing beginning your career. And so I think if there's anything that the organization needs, it's just kind of being those examples for the students right now. And also the alums, because we do have a lot of young alums as well. You can't forget those. We are also all alums up here too. So yeah.
Yeah, we are all young alums.
Very much young and fabulous.
Darren, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, excellent question. As I was thinking about like the fraternity needs most right now, I really think we as an organization and many other organizations that we may find ourselves part of, really need to look at coming from a place of empathy and understanding. I think speaking to the collective we. So like we as whether you student leaders that are working with the fraternity or the volunteers that serve in all of the different capacities for the organization. I think we find ourselves in like the education realm in kind of some tough times, whether that's like we're barreling towards this enrollment cliff. Our college enrollment is really dropping, and that means our members are like dwindling, and we're trying to work through that, or navigating whatever new policies and laws may be coming out that impact how we operate as a fraternity, or how our universities are operating and what funding may look like in that. I think it's important to remember in that we are all just people doing our best to support the bands in whatever capacity we are serving in or what we find ourselves in. So as leaders, important to recognize that we're just people, and caring for the people is a great place to start. And by recognizing that, we can kind of then better understand what is needed to help support each other and move forward towards like a collective progress. So I guess that kind of twofold, like leading with empathy and understanding and using that to fuel and implement action. So not dwelling on it's hard, so we're going to not move forward. But I think in the complexities, relying on the people and using the people around us to then fuel that action, and kind of that, I think that goes a little bit to Kadim's thoughts on accountability of using that and keeping each other accountable as we continue to navigate a very complex environment for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I love the quote, people everywhere are just people, people, people. It's a Brene Brown thing, and yeah, just that empathy and especially like just care for one another. It can I would even say like this is the collective we beyond the fraternity and just everyone.
Real.
Yeah.
Very real.
Chris, how about you? What do you think the fraternity needs most from its leaders right now?
Yeah, so I'd encourage people who are leaders or aspiring leaders to take healthy risks in your leadership journey. Now, keyword is healthy risks. I'm not asking you to go skydiving or go to district convention and start a fight with Kadim. But if you're listening to us on a Friday, yeah, I'm not saying don't. That I never said don't. Don't miss your
play in my face. I'm not the one.
That's why I said it's not a healthy risk. That's just a risk. But so if you're here listening to us on a Tuesday night at about 7 o'clock Arizona time, probably 9 o'clock Arizona Eastern time, or you sought this out on your own time on a playback, you're serious about becoming a leader. So I really encourage you to take that desire you have and channel it to a healthy fraternal risk. Maybe you've always wanted to run for a district office position, but maybe you're not sure you're qualified. You're not sure you're the best person to go for it. Or maybe there's a position in your chapter or this project you've really wanted to try. I encourage you to jump in and take that risk and give it your all, even if you're not sure how it's going to turn out, and even if it might not turn out exactly how you want it to. The fraternity, your chapters are a very safe place to take risks and potentially fail, potentially succeed, but either way, you're going to learn along the way. And I feel like getting on a little bit of a soapbox here, it always feels like there's pressure that before you do something, you have to know it's going to turn out well. You have to be polished, avoid making these public mistakes, and be this polished, perfect person that you're expected to be. And as overachievers who are watching this playback or here live, you're kind of putting double the pressure on yourself. But part of growing and challenging yourself as a leader is challenging yourself as a leader. And like Kadeem said, don't deny yourself an opportunity. Go out at it, jump in, and try it and see what happens. Not only will you sometimes get surprising results that you wouldn't have expected, you'll also inspire the people around you to take those similar healthy risks. And when you start doing that, whether it's applying to new positions, putting on ambitious projects, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish for yourself, your chapter, and what kind of the growth you inspire in the people around you who really love that energy and bring it to their daily life.
Yeah, I feel like you were calling me out a little bit with that double pressure comment, but that's okay because that's real. It's like you don't have to have everything figured out, man. Just kind of go in there, fly by the seat of your pants for a little bit, and we'll build this airplane as we're flying it, you know. Uh, but make sure you have your seatbelt. That's important, and your parachute. So this I've got one like final sort of prompt for us, and I really appreciate you guys' time. And I realize this prompt is kind of similar to the last question, so if you don't got anything new, like that is a-okay. There is no pressure for that. But I'm just curious if there's one leadership takeaway that you'd like for brothers to focus on for this semester. And maybe it's the same thing you said, but maybe it's different. But Chris, what do you think?
Couldn't find that unmute button. So I encourage you to take a look to the leaders in your life, the people who you really respect, look up to, whether it's in the context of the fraternity or your day-to-day life. And I'd encourage you to think about why you admire them and the specific traits that they embody as a leader that really make you think this person is a leader. Maybe it's that the person is really authentic, or they're always showing integrity, or they're vulnerable, or the way that they make you feel like you're valued when you're having a conversation with them. And I encourage you to kind of find a way to reverse engineer that, the things that you really value. What specifically do they do to show integrity? What specifically do they do to show their vulnerability? And find a way to embody that in a way that's authentic to you. Not so that you're kind of picking things apart and trying to Frankenstein yourself into all these leaders you admire, but bringing in things that really resonate with you so you can be the leader you want to be and continue growing. Now, also encourage you to look at some of the leaders who maybe have a little bit further to go on their leadership journey, because you'll encounter people like that as well. And think about the traits that you don't click with that person, and evaluate yourself. Think, are these things, am I embodying some of these things that I don't like in leaders around me? And I'd encourage you to think about that so you can kind of continue to be the leader you want to be. And I encourage you, kind of as the last thing, to show gratitude to the good leaders in your life. Let them know what you value about them and that you value their leadership. That way you can grow as a leader kind of by looking to them as example, but also inspire their leadership journey and share a little bit of positive energy along the way. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this leadership journey together, whether a founder circle speaker or a student who comes 10 years from now and you can look to as kind of a younger brother as a leader. We're all in that journey and want to help each other grow to be the leaders we want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. In the words of some high school students over in New Mexico, we are all in this together. As a High School Musical reference for anybody playing along at home.
They were in New Mexico?
Yeah.
Oh, had zero clue. Couldn't tell you. I thought it was like New York or something.
Oh, no. Darren, how about you? What do you think my brother should focus on?
Yeah, I think something to focus on really is the fact that you as a leader have limitations, and that's okay. Like, you can't do it all on your own. And I think it's important to really focus on reflecting on yourself and what those limitations are for you so that you can really both take care of yourself and better serve the bands that you may be serving at your institution. So understanding the support systems that may exist around you and use those to help you grow as an individual and work towards those limitations that you may have. And Kadeem and I presented last week on discovering yourself as a leader and that first level of the founder circle. And I think the sooner you start reflecting on yourself as a leader and what your limitations may be, the better you'll be able to set yourself up for success in the future. So nobody's expecting you to do everything, and having that moment of reflection and take that away from whatever your leadership journey is and reflect on what that is for you can just help you improve moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. I love that reflection piece, and both what you said and what Chris said. Yeah, Kadeem.
Honestly, as an expansion of what Darren just said, I think one takeaway I would want for brothers to focus on is the follow through. Usually, the start of the school year, it's always here's what I have going on, and then it almost never goes according to plan because fall is marching band. You may have been in a new position, you may have a new job, and it was a little rough in the fall. So typically over winter break, we try to get ourselves together. We write down, oh, I'm going to do these things. I'm going to try and do better at this. I'm going to start taking more mental health breaks for myself and setting those boundaries. But now you actually have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really want brothers to focus on that follow through this semester because you want to honor the commitments you made to each other, whether it's through being there for each other more. But like Darren said, you all have limitations. And so it's great that you want to be there for each other, but first you need to be there for yourself. So if one of your big things for this semester is you want to, be more organized, you want to allow yourself more time to have fun with your friends by getting your schedule together, making sure you do your assignments in a timely manner, you have to follow through for yourself so that way you can follow through for other people. And so if there's anything I want brothers to focus on this semester is to follow through with the commitments you made to yourself.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that so much. Fong, you got anything in this category?
Yeah, I wanted to add that, and I guess just for lack of better words, like it's going to sound cheesy, but like I mean, truly, leadership is a part of life, and life is a journey. And so, like, I actually just had a phone call today with a dear friend because I mean, just to be very open, like I'm dealing with a bit of a KK Psi crisis. I don't know, what to really do with myself. I'm now no longer national president, and yes, I'm IPP. Yes, I'm a part of the national council, but like again, like titles are important, but like they go away eventually, and they're in a way like I have to like rediscover myself, my KKY, and what I what I want to do. So like with that, I guess I'll end with like my message on this is what I want brothers to focus on is that recognizing that leadership is not simply a moment that you like step into. It's a lifetime where you agree to walk through. And like, you will learn things that feel certain at the time, and then you'll go and unlearn them when they stop serving you. You're going to fail people that you care deeply about, and you're going to become a better person and a better leader because you chose to stay and work through it. And that if you think that leadership, and I want people to kind of put the perspective of the ritual as well. Like if you think leadership is simply about arriving at a certain place, you're always going to be chasing a version of yourself that doesn't exist, right? And so a lot of the real work, if you will, is quieter. It's going to be much quieter than the applause that we like to get. It lives in the reflections after mistakes. It's like Kadeem said, it's accountability without the defensiveness. It's choosing growth when ego would be much easier. And really, the journey is not. It will not. And it will never reward perfection. It will reward honesty. It will reward consistency and simply the courage for you to keep showing up unfinished and recognizing that you're always becoming. And so with that, don't rush to become a leader. And that's something that I feel as I reflect back on my journey, like I did a lot of, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be that, like that ambition, which of course is very important to all of us, that ambition sometimes gets the best of us. So like, don't rush to become a leader, commit to becoming more human again and again, or a better version of yourself again and again, because leadership, it's not a destination that you reach. It's a practice that you repeat.
Mm.
It's a choice that you get to choose to renew. It's a journey that you never outgrow. So all in all, I just want our brothers to really focus on everything that these folks have said and pick the thing that you feel that you need to learn, unlearn, evolve, and just know that it's a constant process and that you'll never really get to at a certain place. So like be in the moment, be, just be more of you and make that definition of leadership more authentically you.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that you just said that I want to make sure that people paying attention or watching this like really get is that like pick one thing. Like there's a lot of stuff that we talked about, but if you try to do everything, then it's going to be way more challenging and you're not going to progress in the way that you want to see because you're going to be seeing like, oh, I'm not making the like any growth here, but I am making a little bit of growth here, but I wish it was more, and so on and so forth. But picking like that one thing, even if it's just for like a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, uh, that will be a much better use of your energies and help you get to where you want to go. Um, so I really, really appreciate you guys for being here tonight. You guys have shared some awesome stuff. So before y'all go, Bong, what else we got going on this month?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to keep this as succinct as possible. But we have, again, we have a lot of stuff happening throughout the National Month of Leadership. And again, that's intentional because, again, we wanted to really diversify the different opportunities for brothers to stay engaged. So again, there's a weekly something. So last week, Darren and Kadeem presented our week one session on individual leadership. And tomorrow, Adam Cantley, past national president, is presenting on group leadership. That again is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time. On Saturday, the 21st of February, Chris and one of our other speakers, Jason, will be presenting on community leadership and how to lead through service, and that's at 3 p.m. Central Time. And then we'll wrap up with our last weekly session on Monday, the 23rd, with Jessica and Jack, again, two other speakers on just how to integrate leadership and that sort of sustainability and growth over time. And that will be at 7 p.m. as well. But again, in addition to that, we'll have a variety of different conversations, either through reflective prompts for you to do on your own or to do with your chapter. Again, like you can take the graphics that we're creating, you can take these questions and, post them up in your chapter group chat on the slide as people are coming into the chapter meeting, and have them reflect on it, do like sort of a pair and share, if you will. We'll have different activities that you can just reflect on more for yourself. We'll have IG live conversations like last night. I did one with three of our district presidents. So there's a variety of different things. But again, individuals, you can attend all these sessions and participate, of course, work towards your certification. Chapters, you can bring the resources into your conversations or ask one of us to Zoom in or come in person to facilitate any of these discussions. And alums, you're, again, more than welcome to participate, but I wanted to kind of name two specific things. At the end of this, near the end of this biennium, we will be opening up another call for speakers as well as we continue to diversify and really expand our pool of speakers. So that's one way. But something else that I think is also just as important is, through your generosity, donating to the Leadership Development Fund. As we all know, running an organization, running these sort of programs, it's not cheap, but it is so just immensely impactful for our students and our band program. So if that's something that interests you, please reach out to Founder Circle at kksci.org. And the last site I'll mention is kksci.org/founder circle. You can find more resources there. But again, please email us if you want to inquire about a session, inquire about a one-on-one, whatever it is. We are here to help. And with all of that, thank you all for participating. We still have a week and 2.5 weeks left. So let's continue to stay engaged and stay focused on growth and how we can serve through Kappa Kappa Psi.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the student keynote applications are due Monday. Is that correct? February 16th?
Correct, February 16th. And just to say something quick about that, again, this is open to all active brothers. You don't have to have any like sort of formal leadership title or training, but we really do encourage people because we're going to pick one student keynote per district to speak at your district convention. So again, if you have questions, please reach out to foundercircle@kksi.org.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Again, Kadeem, Darren, Chris, thank you guys also so much for being here tonight. Really, really appreciate it. For everyone watching, we encourage you to stay engaged throughout this month of leadership. Like Bong said, we have 2.5 weeks. Join these sessions, join the lives, answer the questions, post our Instagram story, and figure out how you and your chapter can really grow from this, and even your community around you, because it's leadership is leadership, and it's not specific just to us, and it will really transform the world around you. Well, thank you guys, everybody, for joining our VPSA chat, and we will see you soon.